The NFL draft has concluded, and the Chicago Bears might have came out of it with the most talent. The Bears are continuing to have a dominant offseason, but this draft really changed the outlook of this team going forward, and we have to give a major shout out to Ryan Poles. He has done such an amazing job with this team already as they look to take over the NFL in 2023. Now, in this video, I'll be breaking down the entirety of the Bears NFL draft and why they will shock the world next season. However, before we jump into today's video, make sure you guys do me a favor, smash that like button. Helps out the channel so much. So let's see if we can get this video up to 400 likes. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Bears and the rest of the NFL all year long, so join the family. And one last thing, comment down below, who do you think is the biggest sleeper in this year's draft class for the Bears? Without any further ado, let's jump into today's video. Now, entering the 2023 NFL draft, the Bears had a couple of different holes that they needed to address before the start of, mini camp, training camp, and the preseason. Now, these positions include tackle, defensive tackle, and cornerback. Now, the good news is the Bears came out right away with a game plan, and they completed their mission. Now, firstly, snagging one of the best tackles in the entire draft, Darnell Wright. Obviously, the number one priority was to build this offense around Justin Fields, and they already started doing that by bringing in DJ Moore and Chase Claypool, and now they've solidified their offensive line with Darnell Wright. Now, Wright is one of the most impressive offensive linemen in the entire draft, and they got him here early in the first round. More importantly, he is just so versatile, and he has the perfect mixture of traits to be effective in the running game as well. But more importantly, or more impressively, he's one of the best pass blockers in the entire draft, and they got him, like I said, early in this first round. Now, I personally think Wright can step in and be a day one starter and become potentially the franchise left tackle for the next decade for the Chicago Bears. And I think they just smashed their first round pick. Now, going into round two, there were a couple of holes or, major things they needed to address going forward. And that was defensive tackle and cornerback. And again, Ryan Poles was not messing around and decided to take both because he had 2 second-round picks. Firstly, they get a brand new starter along the interior of the defensive line in Gervon Dexter. Now, Dexter is a massive player who fills their biggest need at defensive tackle and, should be considered a day one starter going forward. He's 6'6", 310 pounds, and uses his size to his advantage. Now, his true bread and butter is stopping the run, and he will be an immediate upgrade in that aspect of the game. However, he has shown flashes of, good technique and getting to the quarterback as well. He does have some developing to do, but he definitely has some great potential. He just needs to get some good mentors. He needs good coaching. And I think at the next level, there's going to be better coaching. There's going to be more trainers. There's going to be more mentorship. So I do believe that in a couple of years, I do think that this dude, Gervon Dexter, become a big-time player here for the Chicago Bears. But I do think right away he should play a pretty big role for them going forward. Now, next they picked up one of my favorite corners in this draft in Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. Now, Stevenson is a 6 foot, 198-pound corner who loves to use his physicality in press man situations. Also a huge hitter and can help out in the run support as well. Now, check out these stats as well. According to PFF, Stevenson gave up a completion rate of 47.2% over his last 2 seasons at Miami, which is good enough to be in the top 5 of all cornerbacks. Now, the Bears are looking very young and very scary in the secondary with Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, and now Tyreek Stevenson. And the good news is, the dude Kyler Gordon, he can primarily focus on being a slot corner now, which is where he's going to, benefit the most. Now, heading into the 3rd round, Ryan Poles knew that, Gervon Dexter would have some developing to do, so he wanted to take another chance on another guy, and they did just that with Zach Pickens. Now, honestly, I'm not too surprised that they decided to, double up at the position, strictly because it was their weakest group, in the entire roster. And getting some young guys with potential is the smartest move that you can do. Now, Pickens is another guy who might need some development, but he didn't have, the greatest stats in college. It wasn't the flashiest player, but his size and his build are enough to tell me that he has some good potential. He tallied up 7.5 sacks and 11.5 tackles for loss in a couple of seasons at South Carolina. I do believe Pickens can step up and be a big-time contributor in stopping the run, but he will have to develop, or he has a long way to go to become a very good defensive tackle in this league. But I do like the value he brings them here in the 3rd or 4th round. Now, next they went out and brought in Bijan Robinson's backup in Roschon Johnson. Now, the running back coming out of Texas is someone who shined every time he stepped onto the field, but the problem was he was sitting behind one of the most talented running backs that we've ever seen, or we've seen in a while. Now, obviously, David Montgomery is headed to Detroit to pair up with the Jahmyr Gibbs, but they also brought in Dante Foreman, and they also still have Khalil Herbert. Now, I love Herbert, but having 3 guys who you can rely on is considered just amazing depth, and they're going to have a 3-headed running back. Now, Johnson doesn't have any breakaway speed, but he is very skilled with his ability to break tackles and make defenders miss, and he actually had a forced missed tackle rate of 45%, which was the best in all of college football. Now, before we finish off their draft, do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family. Let me know if you guys are enjoying the video so far. But without any further ado, let's get into the rest of this video. Now, the Bears used their next selection on a wide receiver, Tyler Scott. Now, Tyler Scott adds a whole new dynamic to this Bears offense with his top-end speed, and he can really take the top off the defense. Now, he has some amazing traits as well, and he can easily become a huge playmaker in this offense with his speed, agility, and overall ability to get open. Scott brought in 84 receptions for over 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons. He might not be a day-1 starter over Mooney, DJ Moore, and Chase Claypool, but man, he has some really good potential, and look for him to really, make a name for himself in preseason, training camp, and all that, man. I really do think this guy could be a big-time contributor for the Bears going forward. Now, as you all know, the Bears had 2 brand-new linebackers in TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. But they wanted to add some more depth behind these guys, and they did exactly that by adding former Oregon linebacker Noah Sewell. Noah has great speed for a linebacker who can also destroy his opponents with some vigorous hits. In 2021, Noah rallied up 114 tackles and had 8 tackles for a loss. Now, one of his major setbacks or knockbacks is, he does not do very well in dropping back into coverage at times, but I do think, again, with some mentorship, some development, with learning from guys from TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, I think that he might be able to reach his full potential, and they might be able to mold him into being a nice little starting linebacker in a couple of seasons from now. Now, the last guy I want to really note is Terrell Smith, a cornerback out of Minnesota. It seems like Ryan Poles had one idea in this draft, and it was adding a bunch of tall, physical, and speedy players, and they've done that again here late in this draft with Terrell Smith. Smith is a battle-tested player who's went from being a backup to a starter to back to a backup to a starter again, and knows what it takes to fight up a depth chart. Now, in 2022, he brought in 38 tackles, 4.5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. Look for him to once again try to fight up this depth chart and earn some playing time here in 2023, even if it's just on special teams. Now, from here, the Bears drafted a couple of late-round, 7th-round guys in Kendall Williamson and Travis Bell. Now, let's start off with Travis Bell. Bell is another defensive tackle who had his best year in 2022, where he put up 30 tackles, 12 solo, 1.5 sacks, but most likely won't be a huge impact player right off the bat. But I like his work ethic, and I do think he can become maybe a solid role player in the future. Lastly, Kendall Williamson. Kendall is a 6-foot, 203-pound safety who played 44 games at Stanford, bringing in a total of 213 tackles, 11 tackles for a loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 interception, 13 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. Again, I like Williamson's ability to give all effort on every single play. This is the type of guy you want on your team, no matter what, whatever down it is, whatever quarter it is. Whatever the score is, this guy is going to do whatever it takes to win the possession, to win the snap, to win the rep. He wants to be the best player on the field at all times. So he's someone that, may not be, the most NFL-ready player, but I do think with his work ethic, I do think he can become a solid player here in the NFL. Now, with that being said, I think the Bears have not only had one of the best drafts, but had one of the best off seasons in all the football. They've added 3 new starters in this draft and a ton of new guys to their roster in the offseason. You got, Justin Fields, you got Foreman, you got Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson at running back. Those 3 running backs are amazing. You bring in DJ Moore to pair him up with Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Velus Jones, and also you bring in Tyler Scott. Who else did they bring in? You got Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, who they added. Listen, now they got 2 really solid tight ends. You bring in Darnell Wright, who could play left tackle, could play right tackle. We don't really know. Nate Davis coming over from Tennessee. You got Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair. I mean, the offensive line looks good. Still has some, places that they can get better, but so far it looks good. They didn't bring in a defensive end or an edge rusher yet, or through the draft, but they did bring in DeMarcus Walker. You also got Rasheem Green from the Texans. Travis Gibson looking like he's probably going to be the starter. At defensive tackle, you got Javon Dexter. You got Zach Pickens. You got Travis Bell, Andrew Billings, Justin Jones. I mean, defensive tackle looks like it needs some development, but the outline is there. They look like they can be really good. Maybe not in 2023, but in 2024 on, this team could be very deep at defensive tackle. At linebacker, you bring in TJ Edwards. You got Tremaine Edmonds. You got Noah Sewell. I mean, linebacker looks good. They could add some more depth here. Also, I forgot they actually added Dylan Cole, and they have Jack Sanborn as well. So, linebacker's pretty good. Like I said, maybe adding a little bit more depth wouldn't hurt. But in the secondary, you got Jalen Johnson, you got Kyler Gordon, you got Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Jones, Kendall Vildor, Kendall Williamson, you got Greg Stroman, and then at safety, you got Jaquan Brisker, Eddie Jackson, AJ Thomas. I mean, this team is not only looking deep, but is looking very talented. I love what they have done so far in this offseason. And listen, the offseason isn't over just yet. If they want to go out and add a defensive end, add some more pressure to the quarterback, go out and get Yannick Ngakoue, go out and get a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, who will be an immediate upgrade or immediate talent to this roster right away. So there's still definitely ways that they can improve. Guys, let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about this draft for the Bears. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.